Thank you for listening. A list of content warnings can be found in the episode description. Take care. Enjoy the show. Planescape Torment, the Unofficial audio series. A narrative let's play adapted and produced by RevocerGM. Combining in-game audio with additional voice acting through dialogue and descriptions to improve your listening experience. Rediscover the amazing story of the 1999 cult classic isometric video game, Planescape Torment, like you've never heard before. You look upon the arm you had found in the waste under the trap crypt, and are immediately validated in your compulsion to bring the thing with you. You see now, under the flickering warmth of torchlight, faded with age and scarification, the symbol of torment. You can almost feel its cruel edge biting into your own skin. Are you ready? Yeah, thanks. Just needed a minute. Neither Dakon nor Anna pry too much into what had happened within that tomb, but you do show them the decanter and describe how you had left Rhyss resting in the sarcophagus.
That old bully. You know why they call him the Vulture, don't you? It was because that Egypt's got such a large beak on him. His nose was always walking a few feet ahead.
Right. Well, whatever he was like, he can rest at peace now. Come on. Let's see to this talking stone and get the hells out of here. You come upon the corridor of carven faces once again, and the visage of Glyve shifts to speak to you.
Have you found the flask of which I spoke?
Yes.
You have it. Pour some of its water across my lips, and I shall tell you what I promised.
Here you go. The mouthful of clear water from the flask trickles across the stone lips, and despite the minute amount, begins diluting the filthy flow that spews from the holes. As you watch, the ditch's water slowly dissipates entirely, the dirty taint of it replaced by clear, fresh water. Glyve groans in ecstasy.
Thank you, Lost One. Seek out the woman called Namel. She resides in the clerk's ward in Upper Sigil. I know not where exactly. Best of luck in your quest, immortal.
Thanks, Glyve. I had a few more questions. The voice seems to fade as it speaks to you until it falls silent. A trickle of water runs from the corner of its eye, and the grimace carved into the face has loosened. Very well then. For the next few hours, Anna guides you in relative silence towards the buried village. You are almost eager to see the great cavern lit red by its burning trash fires. But as you come upon it, there is a change in the atmosphere. A hostility and panic hums about the place as bands of Farad's goons troop about, armed far less casually than you'd seen before. Villagers huddle in anxiety, provoked out of their usual hooch haze. Some are even dousing campfires and packing their meager possessions onto carts in preparation to leave. You head to the iron block archway that marks Ilwind Court, and as you enter, you see Bish frantically rummaging through chests and drawers. Your shadow looms over him as you stand in the entrance, and he snaps his head to you. eyes wide with fear.
Stay out of here, Burke, and you'll not be harmed.
What are you so afraid of?
Oh, it's you. I was just making sure you were not one of them creatures with toe.
He stops himself as he glances over your shoulder.
Anna? That you? Creatures? What you about, Bish? Anna. He's what? Bish! You tell me what's going on right now. There was nothing we could do, Anna.
Like a shot, Anna darts to the trapdoor and dashes down the staircase.
What's going on? What creatures? Aye. They were creatures of night and darkness. Creatures of non-light that swept their cold way through here and disappeared down into Farad's court. If I hadn't seen them with my own eyes, I would have sworn it was some mischief. In fact, some of the lads had a mind to suspect it were you.
Farad's dead.
Aye. Now go on, you'd best get down to it. We hadn't the heart to move the body just yet, see? The echoes of the screams still linger, it seems.
There is indeed an eerie chill in the air as you descend into Illwind Court, and the strange acoustics reverberate the sounds about you like some echoing ghost.
Dad, what happened? Who did this to you?
Farad's body lies bent on the ground, curled back and frozen in spasm. His mouth stretched open, eyes fixed in terror. His skin, though, while pale, is no more harmed than the dry, craggy folds of before.
No.
Dakon takes Anna aside as you tend to Farad's body, closing his eyes and gently laying him in a less distressing pose. For all his fury and gall, now at rest, free from the years of knotted tension, you see the noble dignity of his face, his proud forehead rising like chalky cliffs from the rocky shore of his jawline, and his brow relaxed, creased and careworn, no longer furrowed with lengthy machinations. Not at all the spiteful, anger-fueled man who'd wrung out every advantage over you. His crutch, however, is less dignified. A rickety wooden staff with a crosspiece nailed into the top and covered with rags, presumably to stop the damn thing from jamming into his armpit. Not surprisingly, it smells terrible and is covered in grimy stains. You rest it at his side and take up the bronze sphere that he must have been holding as he fell. He went through so much for this. As did you, of course. But what for you were a few grueling days were decades for him. Yet it still baffles you what it is, or indeed is for. It occurs to you, when learning the art with Mebeth, the first incantation she showed you was for identifying an enchantment held within an item. You carefully scribe the runes as you recall them, and as you do, a shimmer of light fills your vision as though filtered through tinted glass. Every edge and object around you takes on an outline as though sharpened with detailing ink. Rivers of thought race through your mind as you process the most mundane aspects of flagstones, the cloth on Farad's body, the location you were in. You look to the sphere, focusing your intent upon it. But as you try to comprehend its nature, your head begins to ache and your eyes blur and dull. It's as if it were rejecting your scrutiny. You cannot fathom this artifact. Letting your eyes settle, they fall upon Farad's stick once again. Despite appearances, it must hold some magical value, as its outline glows, and you find that not only is it enchanted with some offensive enhancements, it also appears to be the key to some portal.
I thought maybe you'd want to keep this. You take me for a hoarder like him? He loved his keepsakes, he did.
Anna stands above Farad now, staring past his face, it seems, into some knotted ball of memories.
Are you all right? Aye? You don't have to accompany me anymore, Anna. You've done what you said you'd do, and I thank you for that. If you need to stay with the buried village, then...
I don't need to be in the village. And I was wondering what I'd do if Farad got penned in the dead book I was. Oh well. He's probably mounting someone's wall in the hills, he is.
But he's your father. Don't you
Not
need...
my real dad. He wasn't.
Her eyes take on a hard look.
He was greedy. And he was selfish. And he was weak.
She frowns.
And now he's dead. And that's all.
All right. Well, needless to say...
Needless to say what?
Anna, would you like... Will you join me? I don't know where I'm going next, and I don't know what there'll be to face.
Stop talking. You say too much sometimes, you know. Aye, I'll join you.
Right. Oh, good.
So, what's next?
I just said I don't know.
I'm kidding. Pops, how'd you get anything done with this one? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to rinse this place for whatever we find. Then I'm going to take him to the Dusties and wring the last bit of junk from his corpse. And don't give me that look, it's what he would have wanted. Alright?
Oh, all right. Where do we start?
Well, I know he's never left his hall to get his tribute when he needed it.
He wouldn't want to walk far with that lame leg of his.
Aye, that's true. But only if you don't watch him careful. He isn't lame, though he puts on a fair show about being weak in the leg.
So, this crutch of his could be the portal key to his hoard?
Anna frowns in thought for a moment, slowly nods her head, then takes the crutch from your hand. At first, you are entirely confused by what she's doing as she starts hobbling about, pantomiming Farad's movements, doddering and cursing, rapping the stick upon the flagstones. Then you see, in her recreation of the old man's habits, she has found herself standing beneath an archbeam, and both it and the crutch begin to glow.
This is it!
Anna touches the crutch upon the archway, and a shimmering portal stretches out beneath. Within, you find yourself in a vast warehouse. Tiers of structures climb up, forming platforms and mezzanines, the beams of which look centuries old, but hard as stone and clad with creeping razorvine. Something that seems to have once been a gallows frame now holds a large array of arcane lanterns that softly glow a warm yellow, illuminating the entire space. The musty scent of old books and leather polish fills the place. But despite the quantity of goods held here, it is remarkably well kept. Great alcoves of bookshelves are satisfyingly indexed and ordered by alphabet, date, or topic. There are so many books here, it would rival any library or place of learning. And you wonder why Farad felt the need to keep them all hidden and out of reach. There are other items too. Great bins and storage chests filled with various knickknacks, apparently not good enough, or perhaps too secret to be displayed in the court. And even a small kitchenette, complete with a fire stove, kettle, and basin. On a side table, you see a silver platter with a full wheel of cheese and a label marked "For Guests."
I wouldn't touch it if I were you. Farad scarcely kept any company and never attempted to host. Laced with poison, that is, make no mistake.
Good to know.
You spend a little time sorting through any choice items, finding a few interesting spells, some balms and ointments for healing or disinfecting wounds, and a segmented earring made of the crystallized body of some larva that Anna takes for herself. You had hoped to find more information on your past, but searching every document or note scrap in this place would be a gargantuan task, and you have no reason not to believe Farad's admission of ignorance beyond what he'd already told you. And so, with just a little ceremony, you help Anna place Farad's covered body onto a cart and leave the buried village behind, uncertain how it will fare now free from the boot of its former tyrant. Anna chooses to go to the mortuary alone, relishing the idea of turning up to the gates herself with none other than the most infamous collector boss there is, and agrees to meet you at the Gathering Dust when she's done. It's been a short while, but you hadn't forgotten that you'd agreed to report to Emmerich there, both on Farad's scheme, but on Swago as well. Evening begins to draw in, and the pinkish light that bleeds throughout Sigil just before darkfall is quite pleasing in the square as it gleams, jewel-like over the morning stone. And you make your way into the Dustman Bar. A few familiar faces are dotted about in various booths, including Mortai, who catches your eye as he looks up from reading over some lengthy scroll.
Ah, you again. Have you come to make me surrender more contracts in the name of the Dustman faction? Well, no matter. The past is past. What is it I may do for you?
I'm just here to see Emmerich.
Mortai studies you, slightly worried.
What is your business with him, may I ask? Perhaps I may help you instead.
Relax, Mortai. I'm not here to sign a contract.
But good sir, why not? It's nothing but a mere piece of parchment. I'd be willing to offer even more than the usual recompense.
How much?
I will offer 75, 100 coppers, sir. Much, much more than any other dustman will offer.
You know what? Fine. I'll sign with you.
Oh, excellent! Excellent!
Mortai looks overjoyed. With a thin smile, he places a dusty sheet of parchment and a quill pen in front of you.
You shall not regret it. Sign here, here, and here, and our transaction is concluded.
You know, you show much more emotion than the other dustmen I've met.
I trust you meant no offense, sir.
I meant no offense, but you seem awfully eager to sign this contract with me. And for a dustman, eagerness strikes me as odd.
Eager? Sir, do you wish to sign the contract or not? If not...
Is that a problem for you?
Oh my, yes. Too much passion, too much emotion prevents one from reaching the true death. To be passionate runs contrary to the philosophy of our faction.
Right. Look, it's fine. I'll sign.
You take the quill in your hand and begin to scratch your signature. The quill pen makes a strange scritching noise, like a dagger writing on steel. And you notice the parchment seems to be shifting beneath it. No matter how hard you try, you can't seem to sign your name. The contract seems to twist from being a dusty piece of parchment to something alive.
Mortai, what's with this contract?
When you glance up to speak to Mortai, you see that his face has been replaced with that of a grinning skull. The rest of the bar seems to stop, the patrons falling silent, freezing like statues. Mortai opens his mouth, and a wisp of dust trails from inside the skull.
Mortai.
With a rasp, the death's head speaks, dust streaming from its teeth.
Sign. But remember, everything has its price. And what can change the nature of a man?
Nature of a man.
As you speak the words, suddenly you feel faint. Then the next thing you hear is Mortai's voice, normal, and his hand upon your shoulder.
Sir, are you all right?
He laughs uneasily.
I thought I'd lost you for a moment.
It is as if time has exhaled and resumed its natural breathing. The rest of the bar has returned to normal, and Mortai's face is no longer a death's head. You feel a strange pressure inside your skull, as if something desperately wishes to surface but cannot. The experience with the death's head that spoke dust, it was as if you had remembered a dozen splinters of memory all at once, all stabbing into each other to create an image. And you know, somehow, that every voice the death's head spoke belonged to someone now long dead.
Just give me a moment. I'll be fine.
Mortai removes his hand from your shoulder. He looks uneasy, more at the prospect of losing a customer than any concern for your welfare. As you stare at the dusty parchment upon the table, you know for a fact that this is not the first time you have penned your name to a contract, and perhaps not the first time you have signed one such as this.
Actually, Mortai, I think I'll hold off before signing this. Forgive me.
Oh, wait, no, sir, wait. Oh, blast.
You approach Emmerich, and immediately he locks you with his stony gaze and gestures for you to sit. There is a silence for a moment as he waits.
I spoke to Farad and found out where he was getting the bodies he brings to you.
Where do the bodies he brings us come from?
They come from the catacombs beneath Sigil. He was taking the bodies long buried there and selling them back to you. If any are buried there again, he just dug them up and sold them right back.
Emmerich stares at you, and you are suddenly struck with the feeling that his eyes are burrowing into your skull. After a moment, he nods.
You have done a service for the Dustman, but there is something you are not telling me. I can sense it.
Farad's dead. His body is being taken right now to the mortuary. He died sometime after I left him.
I will not feign any regret for that man's departure. His presence was a stain upon the dignity of the dead. May his soul find rest beyond the eternal boundary.
He removes his hands from his sleeves, then lets them drape across the table like a curtain. When he pulls them back, a small lapis lazuli coffin lies upon it. A tiny thing, barely 2 inches wide and 3 inches long. The Dustman's symbol is engraved upon the lid. As you pick up the coffin, it chirrups, unfolds, and then dissolves into a stream of hundreds of copper pieces, which you somehow manage to keep from spilling across the floor of the bar.
Thanks. I also found Swago.
I would know his whereabouts.
I found him in the catacombs beneath Sigil. He also died there.
Emmerich's face is expressionless, and you cannot tell if there is remorse or not.
Why was he there?
He discovered a group of undead guardians who were protecting the catacombs. He was trying to convince them to join the True Death.
Very well. You found him. You have done all the tasks that I have asked of you. I will make you a Dustman, an initiate of the Fifth Circle. Do you still wish to be a member of the faction?
Yes.
Was that a truth or a lie? You honestly could not say. But to close this circle and reach the True Death...
Your initiation requires a promise.
A promise?
You must promise to serve the Dustman. You must promise that you have left life behind. You must promise that your goal is to reach the True Death.
First, I had some questions.
You may ask your questions.
I spent days in the catacombs amongst the living dead. I've seen them here and in the mausoleum. Some mentioned the Dead Truce. What is that?
The walking dead dwell among the Dustmen, work with the Dustmen. Yet, at other times, they have been the enemies of the living.
That has not escaped my notice.
The Dustmen have a truce with all the dead. The dead truce. The dead shall never harm a Dustman as long as we uphold it.
As Emmerich intones these words, that crawling sensation in the back of your skull returns. It has something to do with the dead truce, but you can't recall what it is.
I see.
Furthermore, there exist magics that prolong life or interfere with death. Such magics are an anathema to our belief. They rarely work on members of our faction. Nothing must attempt to interfere with your passage to the true death.
Very well.
Very well. Again, do you believe the tenets of the Dustman?
Yes.
I shall act as your witness. Make the promise.
I promise to serve the Dustman. I have left life behind. I seek only the true death.
You are now numbered among the dead. Thank you for listening to Planescape Torment, the unofficial audio series, a RevocerGM production. To support the show and those involved, please consider subscribing to our Patreon or donating via our Ko-fi page. Links to both are in the description.